They thought it would be another smooth midday chat, an actress talking charity, a panel of seasoned hosts nodding along. But the moment Emma Watson walked onto the view set, the air shifted. She wasn't here to charm. She was here to instruct, to lecture, to make sure everyone knew who they were dealing with. And the women across the table, they weren't going to let her sail through without a challenge. The View studio was buzzing, the kind of energy you could almost feel in your teeth. Audience members clutched their coffee cups, leaning forward in their seats as the stage manager counted down from 5. Behind the desk, Whoopi Goldberg shuffled her notes. Joy Behar adjusted her glasses, and Sharon Osbourne tapped a manicured nail on her mug, eyes flicking occasionally toward the entrance. From the side of the stage, Emma Watson appeared. The applause sign lit up, but it was hardly needed. The crowd clapped enthusiastically, some even cheering. Watson, in a perfectly tailored pantsuit, moved with a deliberate slowness, a faint smile playing at her lips as though she were surveying her subjects rather than greeting fellow guests. "Emma, welcome to The View," Whoopi began warmly, extending her hand. "Thank you," she said, her voice smooth, but with a clipped precision that hinted at impatience. "It's good to be here speaking with people who care about the world beyond their own bubble." It was meant as a compliment. It landed like a dart. Sharon's head tilted, ever so slightly. Joy glanced at Whoopi, who gave the smallest shrug. The cameras caught everything. The opening questions were softballs, the kind every publicist loves. Emma spoke about her latest project for the He For She campaign, listing figures, telling moving anecdotes. But even in these stories, there was a note of superiority. Each answer was a miniature lecture framed as if she were the only person in the room capable of understanding social justice. Joy leaned forward. "How do you balance this work with your acting life? I imagine you have a lot pulling you in different directions." Emma smiled, the kind that came with a subtext. "It's all about discipline. You either manage it well or you don't. I suppose I'm used to pressure." Joy's eyebrow lifted. "And you don't think we know anything about pressure?" She teased lightly. Emma's reply was instant. "Not on the scale I'm talking about." The audience reacted with a small ripple of laughter mixed with a few murmurs. Sharon's eyes narrowed, her nails tapping faster against her mug. Whoopi tried to smooth it over. "Different kinds of pressure, I guess." "Perhaps," Emma said, leaning back. "But let's not pretend they're equivalent." It was the first real crack in the glass. Sharon finally spoke. "Sounds like you've had a tough time of it then. Life in Hollywood must have been dreadful." Her tone was light, but the steel underneath was obvious. Emma turned her head towards her. "It's not about Hollywood, Sharon. It's about duty. Something I don't expect everyone here to understand." The audience gave a collective, "Ooh." Whoopi sat back, eyes widening just a fraction. "Is that right?" Sharon said, leaning forward now, elbows on the desk. "Because I understand duty very well. I also understand that in America we don't bow down to anyone at the table." Emma's smile was small, almost amused. "Yes, the famous American frankness, though I've noticed it often comes wrapped in ego." "Better than wrapped in self-righteousness," Sharon shot back. The tension thickened. Joy glanced between them, weighing whether to step in. "Let's get back to the He For She campaign." "We will," Emma said smoothly, "but perhaps we should clear the air. I'm picking up on a certain hostility." Sharon laughed once, short and sharp. "No hostility, Emma, just an observation. You've been here 10 minutes, and you've managed to sound like the only adult in the room, and I'm starting to wonder if you believe that." Emma's expression didn't change. "I don't believe it. I know it." The audience reacted again, louder this time. Whoopi lifted her hand. "Okay, let's not make this—" Emma cut her off, her tone still calm but clipped. "If we're going to have an honest discussion, let's not dress barbed questions up as innocent ones." Sharon's gaze didn't waver. "And if we're going to have a guest on the show, let's make sure she understands this isn't Hollywood. You're not owed deference here." "Deference?" Emma repeated with a faint chuckle. "I wouldn't expect it. Respect would be nice, though." "And that works both ways," Sharon said. For a moment, neither looked away. The room seemed to tilt towards them as if everyone was leaning in for what came next. Whoopi jumped in, voice light but firm. "Let's take a breath. Emma, the campaign." Emma turned her eyes to her, and the smile returned, raised more than we expected. He didn't look at Sharon when he said it, but everyone knew it was meant for her. Sharon took a slow sip from her mug, her eyes never leaving her face. The camera operator, sensing the moment, framed them both in a tight shot. Neither blinked. Neither broke. It was supposed to be a warm start. It was already a Cold War. The stage manager's fingers scissored. 2 minutes till break. Whoopi caught the signal and smiled at the wrong camera, then found the right one. The seasoned pro and her snapping the show back into frame. "We're back with Emma Watson," she said evenly, talking service, feminism, and what it takes to build something that lasts. "Which I would love to do," Emma replied, smooth as lacquer, "if we can keep the noise to a minimum." She didn't look at Sharon when she said it. She didn't have to. Joy forced a laugh that bruised on the way out. "All right, let's keep it constructive, Emma, about the campaign." "Constructive?" Emma echoed, turning to her with a winter-clear gaze. "Yes, that would be new." Joy blinked. "New? New for this table?" She let the words sit. "Look, I respect the platform, but let's not pretend I'm here to be cross-examined by people who skimmed the briefing on the way to makeup." A scattering of boos surfaced. Others shushed them. Joy's jaw worked, then set. "I read your whole brief in your book 2 times. "Then you know I'm allergic to loaded questions." Emma smiled like glass. "Ask what you actually mean." The audience murmured, a sea turning. Whoopi stepped in, voice gentle but edged. "Okay, so I'll ask it plain. When people hear you speak about breaking cycles, they also see the deals, the cameras, the constant storytelling. Some hear healing, others hear monetizing. What do you call it?" "Necessary," Emma said without pause. "When an institution ignores pain, you put it on the record yourself." Sharon tipped her mug toward her. "And when the record becomes the brand?" Emma finally met her eyes. "And when the brand becomes a cudgel, when critics pretend their curiosity is civic duty," she folded her hands. "Honesty isn't a cudgel. It's a compass." Sharon's smile was polite. The words were not. "Your compass seems to point wherever the check's clear." "Ah," Emma breathed, amused. "There it is, the old chorus. Shut up and be grateful." "Sorry, I didn't fly across an ocean to curtsy to that." "Good," Sharon shot back, "because this is America. We don't curtsy. We clap back. And right now I'm clapping back at the tone." "You've called Whoopi's questions noise. You told Joy she skims. That's not honesty. That's hot." Emma pivoted to camera, all charm. "If I've been brusque, it's because I've lived the consequences of soft-pedaled truth. It kills slowly." Whoopi tried to steer again. "Let's anchor in outcomes. You've raised real money. You've opened doors. Talk to me about tangible next steps. Jobs, counseling, pilot sites." "San Diego expands next quarter," Emma said. "Norfolk is greenlit. We're building family support that actually works, not just hashtags and handshakes." She paused just long enough. "And we'll do it with or without the blessing of daytime TV." There it was, the superior little flair that sent a tremor through the audience. Joy's fingers drummed once on the desk. "We are daytime TV," she said softly, "and we brought you here to amplify the work. You don't have to step on people to stand tall." Emma considered her, then offered a nod that stopped miles short of contrition. "Noted." Sharon watched that nod like a hawk watches grass. "There's the celebrity non-apology," she said. "You here without owning." Emma's smile thinned. "You want ownership? I own my choices. I also own my right not to be talked to like a naughty schoolgirl." "Then stop acting like one," Sharon said, her voice suddenly velvet and blade. "Because the attitude at this table today, the correction, the condescension, that's celebrity entitlement energy. And I'll say it to your face. This isn't England. You don't get to swan in and grade everyone's questions like we're your staff." A cheer popped somewhere in the balcony. A hiss met it from the front rows. The floor manager windmilled rap, but no one rapped. Emma leaned in, elbows on knees, utterly still. "Let me be frank in your language," she said. People like you, people like me," Sharon repeated low, "have made a business model of slicing open families and calling it journalism. Yes, I chose to tell my story. Your industry chose to hunt it. There's a difference. Sharon's chin lifted a fraction. My industry also chooses when to call a guest rude. Consider this that moment. Rude is a soft word, Emma said, her voice cooling another degree. What I've weathered is cruelty, and I'm watching its training wheels wobble on this table. Whoopi cut across, firm. We aren't doing cruelty, we're doing accountability. So here's mine. Tone down the sneer. We can hold your story and still ask hard questions. And I can answer, Emma said without pretending the blade is a hug. Joy inhaled, made a choice. Okay, hard question. If you say you're breaking cycles, why do so many people feel like you're repeating one? Public pain for public payoff? Emma's eyes slid to her, not angry, just tired of disguising it. Because they don't understand it, or they don't want to, she held a beat. Some people here included. Joy flinched barely. That's unfair. So is most of my life, she said, and the chill of the line gave the audience goosebumps. Sharon set her mug down like a gavel. You know what else is unfair? Taking pot shots at people's families when you lose your footing? Emma didn't blink. Is that your preamble to talking about mine again? It's my warning, Sharon said. Keep my family out of your mouth. I have taken my lumps on air for decades. I've owned my mess, but you won't use it as a trampoline. Emma tilted her head. You've certainly jumped on mine. Sharon's voice stayed low. You put yours on a stage and sold tickets. The audience vibrated, a hive deciding whether to swarm. Emma's silence stretched until it snapped. Fine, she said, each syllable polished. You want the unvarnished version? You call me entitled and arrogant because I won't play nice with a table that confuses kindness for weakness. You sneer at my protection of my privacy while you've built segments out of yours. Sharon's eyes flashed. You don't get to weaponize my life to excuse your manners. I'm not weaponizing, Emma said. I'm pointing out the hypocrisy. You've spoken for years about your husband's addiction, struggles bravely, publicly. You understand pain in public, so spare me the performance of shock that I won't bow to yours. A hush dropped, heavy as lead. Sharon's fingers curled once against the rim of her mug. Don't you dare use my family as a shield for your contempt. My husband owned his demons. My children have their journeys. You don't get to smear them to win a segment. I didn't smear, Emma said. I acknowledged what you made public. To make a point you don't like. You built a brand out of endurance. So did I. The difference is, I won't pretend to be grateful for the whip. Joy's voice came quick, pleading. Emma, enough. Keep it on your side of the street. She turned the smile on her again, and somehow it made everything worse. I'm perfectly on my street. Then lower your voice in our neighborhood, Sharon snapped. The steel was back. Because your celebrity diction wrapped around insults isn't nobility. It's just disrespect with a nice suit. Applause cracked across the room like hail. Emma waited for it to die, then spoke very softly, forcing the microphones to lean in. Disrespect, she said, is asking me to excuse the very tactics that nearly broke my family because they come with a smile and a daytime jingle. Whoopi had had enough. We are going to break. She looked at the stage manager and cut her hand in the air. Break. The red light died. The studio exhaled in 100 stuttering breaths. Handlers surged. Water bottles appeared. The band leader asked a question no one heard. Joyce stared at the surface of her mug as if it were a pond that might show her a better choice from 5 minutes ago. Sharon and Emma didn't move. Do you ever hear yourself? Sharon asked, voice pitched low for her. Not the crowd, not the words, the way. You fold the table into a lecture and call it Enlightenment Minute. Do you ever hear yourself? Emma returned. Same volume, same precision. You poke the bruise and call it accountability. A producer ghosted up to the desk, whispered to Whoopi, retreated. Whoopi rubbed her forehead, then her eyes, as if dragging the headache out the front. Back in 5, the stage manager mouthed, fingers ticking down. 4, 3, the red light relit. Whoopi rallied. We're back. Let's pivot to solutions, please. Emma, concretely, if someone's watching at home, a student, an advocate, What help is available now? Emma took the lifeline. Counseling without a 6-month queue, real job pipelines, not resume workshops, immediate relief funds for families in crisis, and peer networks you can trust, people who've been there. That's solid, Joy said, meaning it genuinely. Sharon nodded once, professional. Good, because that's the only part of this that actually matters. Emma looked at her, something sparking that wasn't anger, something more elemental. Then stop trying to make the rest of it a circus. Then stop walking in like the ringleader, Sharon returned. Whoopi's smile held by sheer will. Okay, we've got time for one more question in this block. She shuffled cards that didn't need shuffling. Emma, if you could say one thing to people who feel you've trashed the institution that raised you, what would it be? She didn't hesitate. You can love a house and still fix the rot. You can love a community and still refuse to be its cautionary tale. Lovely, Sharon said, and somehow made it sound like a challenge. Now try saying it without talking down to everyone who asks you how. Emma's patience gave a small audible creak. You know the funny thing about talking down? People only hear it that way when they're staring up from a pedestal they built for themselves. Sharon's lips parted, not in shock, but in the acceptance that the only way out was through. Here's my last word, this block, she said, turning to camera, then back to Emma. You've mistaken bluntness for brutality. We can tell the truth without bayonets. Start with that. The band swelled. The red light died. The applause hit on reflex. Chairs scraped. The room uncoiled by inches. A security guard took half a step closer to the wing and froze there, statue still. Joy sank back, blew out a breath. I don't know if I'm surviving 2 more blocks of that, she whispered. Whoopi didn't answer. She was watching Emma and Sharon, still facing each other, not speaking, their silence louder than any line they'd thrown. Somewhere above the lights, heat shimmered. Somewhere behind the glass, a producer said, if it breaks, we let it. We're already in it. On the desk, a cue card trembled in the AC draft. On the carpet, a line no one had drawn was visible to everyone now. And somewhere in the space between an actress's pride and a broadcaster's backbone, something brittle and bright was waiting to snap. The red tally light blinked on. Whoopi gave the thinnest of smiles to the camera. We're back with Emma Watson, she said. And I think we've covered a lot of the ground this morning. Let's try to end on a high note. Joy nodded quickly. Yes, let's, Emma. Maybe you could share a story from your work that really gives people hope. Emma leaned toward her mic, her tone smooth again, but her eyes still hard. Hope comes from truth, and sometimes that truth is uncomfortable, especially for people used to hearing only what flatters them. Sharon's nails tapped once on the desk. You mean the people who've been trying to ask you reasonable questions for the past half hour? Emma didn't flinch. I mean the people who confuse curiosity with entitlement, the ones who think they can talk over me because they don't like the answers. Sharon leaned in. No one's talking over you, Emma. In fact, we've been listening to you go on and on, all while tossing out little grenades about my colleagues, about me, about my family. Emma's mouth curled. If the grenade fits, the audience gasped, a sharp intake that seemed to suck the oxygen out of the room. Sharon set her mug down with finality. You really are proving my point. You are not here for a conversation. You are here to lecture and then get offended when someone calls you out. It's pure Hollywood arrogance. You're not in England anymore. No one here owes you reverence. Emma's tone dropped cold and deliberate. And you're not the queen of anything here, Sharon. Just another loud voice trading on old scandals to stay relevant. Joy winced audibly. Whoopi raised both hands. Right, let's not. Sharon cut her off, her voice gaining speed and bite. You know what you are, Emma. You're a woman with no career outside your surname. You've made a mess of your femme. Your brand is tabloid fodder, and you've built nothing that lasts longer than a news cycle. Without that last name, you're just another woman in a nice suit playing at being important. The audience roared, some cheering, others booing, all on their feet. The cameras caught Emma's jaw tightening, her knuckles whitening against the desk. Whoopi leaned in, pleading, Emma, take a second. But Emma's voice cut through, sharp as broken glass. I don't need a second. I've had a lifetime of this. People pretending to care when they're just waiting for the soundbite. I won't give you another one. And with that, she unclipped her mic, set it down with a deliberate tap, and stood. Emma, Joy started. No, she said, already moving toward the wing. I'm done. I've said what I came to say. The rest is just noise. The studio was chaos now. Security stepping forward, producers waving their arms, audience members shouting. Sharon watched her go, her expression unreadable but her chin high. As Emma reached the curtain, she turned once, just enough for the cameras to catch the final line. You wanted honesty. There it was. Enjoy your ratings. And then she was gone. The red light blinked out. Whoopi exhaled hard, looking straight into the camera that was no longer live. Well, she said, that happened. The audience buzzed like a hive. Sharon sat back, folded her arms, and let the noise wash over her. She landed her blows. Emma had walked. Daytime television had its new viral moment, and neither of them would come out of it unchanged. Well, so what do you think? In today's clash, who was in the right? Emma Watson or Sharon Osbourne? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed watching this explosive exchange, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel so you won't miss the next big showdown.